The only thing that is limiting us is, because we all do mistakes, is to learn from our experience and act on them. So if you have fell down before, that's absolutely fine. But from falling down, you have learned how to stand up and not to fall in the same hole again. So can I ask you today for 100% participation? Because if you participate 100%, you will be able to get 100%. At the end of the day, it's our mind that help us achieve what we would like to achieve in life. So we have to be clear about our goals and what do we need in terms of our personal life and our business life. So make sure that you define those goals, make sure that you instate them, not just have them in your head, but also write them down, because these are like your compass. So when you go from a point A to a point B, or you drive, you use your GPS. So your mind is the same thing. So it's your reticular activating system, or your RAS. So be clear on defining your goals, because your mind will help you achieve those goals. There are different problems that we face on this planet Earth. And what goes around comes around. So if we ignore it, they will come back to us. Make sure that whenever you are faced with a specific problem, make sure that you face it immediately, you act on it, because if you leave it, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. At the initial stage, or the inception stage, you can probably solve it, and the solution would be easy. But if you leave it, then it will become bigger, and it will take much more time, effort for you to resolve it. That is, if you can. Just as a small note, in terms of, we have different choices in life, things that make us a victim or things that would make us a victor. When we face any specific issue, sometimes we blame someone for our mischiefs or our bad luck, or we give excuses. No, it's not meant to happen, but because of X, Y, or Z, or we actually just deny it. I didn't want it in the first place. This is what we call below the line of choice. These are things that will make you a victim. On the other hand, if you really would like to, if you've started a family, if you've started a business, it's your own business. It's your own life. If you decided to go to the gym and train regularly, I know that the gyms are closed currently, but in specific, if you decide to do something, you have taken that responsibility to actually do it. And it's your own life, your own business, so take ownership and be accountable to actually achieving the results that you would like to achieve. Usually what affects our business currently in this current lockdown are mainly two things. One, yes, the lockdown and the effect of it, and we're gonna talk about this today and see how we can give you a few tips and few nuggets on how you can overcome these. But on the other hand, it's us which is blocking our achievement. Because yes, it is a crisis, but on the other hand, it's great opportunities. If you look at what has happened in the past, in the history, in world, every time we face an issue, every time we face a problem, I know that this is grave, this is something that is extremely big currently, but every time we face an issue, there are lots of opportunities ahead. So make sure that we equip ourselves. And thank you so much for watching this today, because I will aim at giving you some tips on how you can overcome both the lockdown and the repercussions of the lockdown on your business, and also tackle a little bit about yourself and your life and your learning and your behavior and your leadership in specific. So moving forward, you've probably heard about when the curve of change. When we face this issue back in March, there is a denial. It's not gonna have any effect. It's just a week and then it will disappear. Or some people had a shock. oh my God, what's going to happen? And basically, I work with lots of business owners, and I see that some of them, they had this shock. Some of them, they made employees redundant. Some other people, some other business owners, they made good use of the government's initiative and had their biggest assets, which are your employees and their team members, furloughed. They were in lots of anger, lots of frustration. But at the end of the day, after that depression, they've accepted the situation and started working towards their initial goals. They overcame, they accepted the situation, and they started the problem solving. And I've seen lots of people who had lots of denials and lots of shock, and it was really overwhelming, where now they are in a much better smile and they have started acting on it in terms of doing the right things to grow their business. On the other hand, from ourselves, usually, sometimes we don't recognize the difficulties in our own incompetence. And this will definitely lead into an inflated self-assessment. There is something that we call, this is based on a study from Professor Dunning and Professor Kruger. Basically, there is the mountain of stupidity. In the mountain of stupidity, if some people can recognize these, where they are rather loud and opinionated, or they overestimate their skills, they are Superman, Superwoman, superheroes. They fail to recognize that they need to upskill themselves, or they fail to recognize the skills of other people. They basically fail to recognize their mistakes and their shortcomings, and all of this will make a great effect on them in terms of their learning curves. And then, obviously, when something happens, they will fall into the valley of despair. And the valley of despair is a path, and it can be very rapid and extremely quick, and possibly traumatic. It's us understanding what are our shortfalls and putting some steps so that we can fall gently and decide how to respond to that realization, whether we want to quit or we want to do something about it. And then we will have that slope of enlightenment that will help us choose not to give up. And this is a way forward, by understanding how to move forward and how to act on it. And what are the skills, what are the gaps that we need to fill? And then we can start slowly but surely climbing that slope of enlightenment to reach that plateau of sustainability. And that sustainability is basically based on growing ourselves, our learning, understanding our pitfalls and our shortfalls and shortcomings, and then doing something about it. And because we are always in a constant learning, we need to keep on learning and learning and learning. Learning never ends. Since we are born, we have a great acquisition of new learnings, new skills. When we stop learning, we are worthless. So make sure that you embed and make sure that you are on that slope of enlightenment and that plateau of sustainability, where you can have lots of growth and lots of learning at the same time. Now, whether it is the crisis or it is the actual yourself or your shortcoming, definitely at this stage, we are forced to change. So the formula of change is D times V plus F should be greater than R. So what is D? D is your dissatisfaction, because every one of us is actually dissatisfied from the current situation. and the current pandemic and the current lockdown that we are facing, and we want to do something about it. But it is our vision. And this is the missing bit. As much as our vision is great or big, that would allow us to actually grow our business and overcome any resistance that we are coming. So dissatisfaction times vision plus first steps. So if we can keep on being dissatisfied for the rest of our life and we have a great vision, but if we don't take the first steps, we can never achieve anything. So dissatisfaction times vision plus first steps is greater than resistance. And this is what makes us stronger, basically. This is what helps us move in that change. Yes, it is a crisis ahead, but also it's great and greater opportunities that they lie ahead of us. So we need to make sure on how do we use them. How do we look at things a little bit differently in order to utilize this negativity and turn it into greater positivity. And what actually the effects on basically from this crisis, they are not just from the crisis, they are also from us, because we have created some sort of a failure. So there are an internal and an external part to the existing crisis. One is that we have failed to create some organizational structure which has, or something in the organization which has created harm to acquiring more customers, or losing employees, or not having the right deals with suppliers, or with the public at large. It depends on what sort of a business you are in. And the crisis or the pandemic, which are the events or the entities that are outside your organization, probably some short supply, the supply chain, there is shortage in that, or there is something that you need to rectify or to adapt on a short-term basis. But usually, if we face all of these issues, we have two options. Sit down and wait, and this will help us in achieving nothing, or actually doing something about it, regardless of the crisis. Because we have said that this is not a crisis, it's more an opportunity. So it is our crisis management that differentiates us from our competition. So we need to look at our business model, how we can change it, how we can adapt it, and mostly evolve it, because we are human beings that we evolve. When I was born, we didn't have access to many of the things that the children of today have. We didn't have iPads, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have smart tablets, we didn't have computers. We didn't have technology for me to actually run this webinar. So what sort of adaptation that you need to take on board, what sort of technology you need to actually take on board in order to grow your business? Because at the end of the day, this crisis, you should have created a crisis marketing plan that would help you navigate through this crisis. And we usually talk about a 90-day plan. Why do we talk about a 90-day plan? Because basically, you will set out those activities for the next 90 days and work on them on a weekly and daily basis, because in that sense, you will be able to achieve those tasks and those deadlines and those milestones and grow your business. So basically, it's one of two options. Either it is a planning, which you should take, or basically you should just panic and run around and do nothing. And this is, what do you think? This is gonna backfire on our well-being or our mental health. And you can see now the mental health, whether it is from a schooling perspective or from a community perspective, even from a council perspective, they are asking for people to help business owners and to help individuals and to help students to overcome their well-being and their mental health. Because today we are into a fast-moving events. Every day there is lots of changes. So in these changes, we need to know how to navigate properly and how to adapt and evolve at the same time. And if news is overwhelming us, maybe stick to one source of news, because we have lots of issues in there. Some of them are facts, some of them are opinions, and this is basically not helping. This is overwhelming us. So we need to come back, focus, plan, and then in small pivots, and then grow. Now, your strategies must be comprehensive. You need to consider adjusting all of the following components that I'm going to talk about in your marketing mix. So when you're talking about your marketing, you need to know, what are you selling? What sort of a product? To who? What is your target? Who is going to buy? Why they are going to buy? At what sort of a cost? What is the price that you're going to sell it at? What is your revenues? At what sort of margins do you need to work on? What are your deals? What sort of offers you need to bundle together in order to promote your business? Where are you going to sell it? And currently we have the social media, we have the digital platforms, webinars similar to what I'm doing today. Yes, there are the other traditional ones, but we need to look at different options. And currently, because everybody is sitting at home and they are on their smartphones, on their smart tablets, on their laptops, on their computers, so physically they are ready to get your message virally, to get your message online. So make sure that you have the right presence online. You communicate consistently with your prospects online. You add value online and make it viral. Why not? Yesterday, I was reading in the news about a message that something that got on Twitter generated millions of interactions. Why not you? So you need to think a little bit differently and look at what are the ways that you can grow your business and introduce your business in a good way. Because as I've said, a lot of people are overwhelmed. So you need to add to that positiveness. It has to have some sort of an interaction, positivity, a smile, happiness, fun. Because at the end of the day, if we're not having fun in our business and in our life, how are we going to grow? And mostly, you need to understand more about how you can empower your people, your stakeholders, your customers, your employees, your suppliers, your prospects, your critics. You need to know how to deal with them and how to encourage them to actually use your product. So basically have a mix of the different components, which are product, price, promotion, place, and people, and include them in your marketing mix, because that would help you connect more and sell more. Yes, it is a crisis, so we need to be ready. Whether you are on your own or you have a team, think of how can you manage the crisis, monitor the news, because at the end of the day, with respect to businesses, yes, we are overwhelmed with the death and all of that, but also there are lots of business information that is there. We need to test and measure. We need to be data-driven. As much as the government's decisions are based on science and data, and every day we listen at 4:30, 5 o'clock to the debriefing, and we learn more because it's based on data. So apply that into your business. And inform everyone, all your stakeholders, on how are you moving and on what basis in your business, whether it is your team members, your clients, your suppliers, your prospects as well. And then we've talked about the 90-day plan. we need to have a comprehensive strategy that we can test and measure. And this is, if you don't know how to do it, or you fail on some parts, and to be honest, lots of business owners, they fail to have a comprehensive one, reach out. I'll be more than happy to help and to support you at this tough time. You need to know what sort of messaging you are sending out to your prospects, and you need to craft it differently, and differently on different channels, because the same message has to be adapted to the different channels or communication channels. Because the same message, if you put it on different channels, it will deliver differently. So make sure that you have the right combination and keep on updating, whether it is your social media, whether it is the message, because we are evolving and people would like to see that we are not dormant. We are alive, we are vibrant, we are positive, and we do add value. So make sure that you add value to your prospects and customers and other stakeholders. But there is one thing that is missing. We are in a crisis, so what have we learned? We need to write down what have we learned. What is our learning? What is our experience? How did we adapt? What did we do differently? How did we do it? What is our learning? How are we going to move forward? It's those quality questions that you ask yourself. And my role as a coach is to help you ask the right questions so that you can have the right answers, so that you can evolve and get out of the situation that you are in, so that you break through. Instead of the perturbation and breaking down, my role is to help you break through. At the end of the day, whoever is talking, whether it's you or other employees, you have to speak with one voice. You have to emphasize, you have to engage, and you have to educate. These are your goals. But in specific, you need to be authentic. So your message has to be authentic. It has to be candid, transparent, abundant, honest. And it has to be fact-based, because we've talked about data-driven. And this is why you are helping. So make sure that you have it data-driven. And you communicate it fact-based. And make sure that you communicate it at the right time, because if there is a news today, it might not be applicable for tomorrow. Tomorrow you need to have a different message. So make sure that you communicate the right message at the right time. And not to forget, you have to be consistent. It's not like you will do something and then you will have a dormant or a sleepover for a month and then do something else. People will forget you. You are not on their top of mind. You need to communicate differently and you need to deliver consistently. And this is where me as your coach, I will help you not only instate your vision and work towards it, but also help you to deliver consistently, timely, and make sure that you use your financial elements in the best way possible. Because if we don't know our financials, how are we going to take the right decisions? How are we going to use our marketing? How are we going to make sure that we're getting back from our marketing what we have invested and 10 times more? Or at least what we have invested. No one is looking for break even. We are looking for profits. We are looking to put fruits on our table for ourselves and our families, and importantly for our community. There are lots of stressed business owners. We need to help each other. We need to grow together, collectively, rather than individually, because this is the only way forward at these tough times. Yes, we are safe in our homes, but this is war. It's war against an invisible element. an invisible enemy. So collectively, we can overcome all of this. But make sure that in your product offering and in your service offering and whatever you're doing, you are delivering consistently. Focus on your messaging, but most importantly, look at the opportunities ahead. Create something, a solution for those opportunities. You can't keep on doing what you've been doing previously. What we were experiencing in Jan and Feb in terms of business is not applicable for March. It's not applicable for April. It's not applicable for May, for today. And definitely, 100%, it's not applicable for next year or a few months ahead, because the situation is evolving. New rules are there, a new norm, so we need to adapt to that new norm and set our vision ahead so that we can achieve the growth that we opt for and the sustainability that we would like for our lives and the security for our family and communities, and grow within. In a summary, your marketing, the messaging, what we have talked about, needs to be different. It needs to be compassionate. It needs to be urgent, because we talked about the timeliness of the message. So we need to act to help customers act upon it in a timely manner. Use the internet, make it viral. Use your imagination. There is no limitation. They say that Einstein used to use 13% of his brain. Imagine what are our capabilities if we use it 100%. Imagine what are our capabilities if we increase 1% at a time. Whether it is in your business, whether it is in your life, don't take 100% just for you to improve and to be consistently improving. Make those small incremental improvements, because in that way you will be able to sustain them. From a business perspective, which wouldn't affect your cash flow, which wouldn't affect your delivery, because if you are, for example, if you are operating at 100 and suddenly you have a 200%, it's going to affect either your delivery or it's going to affect your cash flow, because you need to buy products, or when you're going to receive your money, and so on. So there is a lot of overwhelm. But definitely, if you are at 100, an additional 10 or 15 or 20%, that's manageable. And in any way, we need to do a lot today, because today is the, supposedly we're gonna start getting out of this lockdown in June. So it is the right time to reach out. It is the right time to actually start planning or looking at things. And congratulations if you have started that. If you'd like to know more, I'm more than happy to support you. So make sure that you do it consistently and use this time. We still, June didn't kick in. We still have a couple of weeks before that. So make sure that you use that time efficiently, wisely, and plan ahead. And in the midst, when you have started, there is one element that is vital for any business. You need to know your numbers, whether it is your marketing numbers, whether it is your financial numbers, whether it is your time numbers, whether it is the KPIs for your team, whatever they are, you need to track down your numbers. Why is that? Because you need to know from where you're starting and if you have improved or not. How can you evaluate? And this is when we start, for example, with any new prospect or any new client, we make sure that we identify the base, because we need to measure the success story. And when we measure the success story, it will add to our positivity. We've talked about fun, so make sure that you have lots of fun through tracking your numbers. So again, testing and measuring is key. So make sure that you test and measure, know your numbers, and that would help you improve your business. Basically, I just want to touch on one last thing. If you'd like to know more on how you can grow your business or your profits by 61% and grow your revenues by 46%, reach out and I'll share with you the secret formula on how to do it. Never wish your life were easier. Never wish your life was easier. Wish that you were better. Work hard or harder on yourself rather than on your job. It's not about doing what you're doing, it's about improving yourself and improving your capacities. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you so much for watching on Facebook. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box or in the message box, and I'll be more than happy to answer back. For any business owner that would like to take a benefit from a free 60 minutes coaching session on how I can share with you that formula and how I can help you grow your business, please reach out. Either reach on Facebook or on LinkedIn, or you can send me a message on my mobile. It's 07500584418. 07500584418. Take care, keep safe, and happy holidays in the coming week. Have a great day ahead, and bye for now.